Shalom, Lakem, Kaal Yashara'al. How's your peace, Israel? Welcome back to another video. And we are in Hasafah HaShawafa Tayam, which is the book of Judges. Okay. And we're in chapter 18. The context is Danites take the Levite and the idol. And it reads on this wise. And in those days there was no king in Israel. And in those days the tribe of the people of Dan was seeking for itself an inheritance to dwell in. For until then no inheritance among the tribes of Israel had fallen to them. So the people of Dan sent 5 able men from the whole number of their tribe, from Zorah and from Eshtaol, to spy out the land and to explore it. And they said to them, Go and explore the land. And they came to the hill country of Ephraim, to the house of Micah, and lodged there. When they were by the house of Micah, they recognized the voice of the young Levite, and they turned aside and said to him, Who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? What is your business here? And he said to them, This is how Micah dealt with me. He has hired me, and I've become his priest. And they said to him, Inquire of God, please, that we may know where the journey on which we are setting out will succeed. And the priest said to them, Go in peace. The journey on which you go is under the eye of the Lord. Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish, and saw the people who were there, how they lived in security, after the manner of the Sidonians, quiet and unsuspecting, lacking nothing that is in the earth, and possessing wealth, and how they were far from the Sidonians, and had no dealings with anyone. And when they came to their brothers at Zorah and Eshtaol, their brothers said to them, What do you report? They said, Arise and let us go up against them, for we have seen the land, and behold, it is very good. And will you do nothing? Do not be slow to go to enter in and possess the land. As soon as you go, you will come to an unsuspecting people. The land is spacious, for God has given it into your hands, a place where there is no lack of anything that is in the earth. So 600 men of the tribe of Dan, armed with weapons of war, set out from Zorah and Eshtaol, and went up and encamped in Kiriath Yearim in Judah. On this account, that place is called Mahanedan to this day. Behold, it was of Kiriath Yearim. And they passed on from there to the hill country of Ephraim, and came to the house of Micah. Then the 5 men who had gone to scout out the country of Laish said to their brothers, Do you know that in these houses there are an ephod, household gods, a carved image, a metal image? And therefore consider what you will do. And they turned aside there, and came to the house of the young Levite at the home of Micah, and asked him about his welfare. Now the 600 men of the Danites, armed with their weapons of war, stood by the entrance of the gate. And the 5 men who had gone to scout out the land went up and entered, and took the carved image, the ephod, the household gods, and the metal image, while the priest stood by the entrance of the gate with the 600 men armed with weapons of war. And when these went into Micah's house and took the carved image, the ephod, the household gods, the metal image, the priest said to them, What are you doing? And they said to him, Keep quiet, put your hand on your mouth, and come with us, and be to us as a father and a priest. Is it better for you to be a priest to the house of one man, or to be a priest to a tribe and a clan in Israel? And the priest's heart was glad. He took the ephod and the household gods and the carved image, and went along with the people. So they turned and departed, putting the little ones and the livestock and the goods in front of them. When they had gone a distance from the home of Micah, the men who were in the houses near Micah's house were called out, and they overtook the people of Dan. And they shouted to the people of Dan, who turned around and said to Micah, What is the matter with you, that you come with such company? And he said, "Take my gods that I made, and the priest, and go away. And what have I left? How then do you ask me, what is the matter with you?" And the people of Dan said to him, "Do not let your voice be heard among us, lest angry fellows fall upon you, and you lose your life with the lives of your household." Then the people of Dan went their way. And when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back to his home. But the people of Dan took what Micah had made, and the priest who belonged to him, and they came to Laish, to a people quiet and unsuspecting, and struck them with the edge of the sword, and burned the city with fire. And there was no deliverance, because it was far from Sidon, and they had no dealings with anyone. It was in the valley that belongs to Beth Rehob. Then they rebuilt the city and lived in it, and they named the city Dan, after the name of Dan, their ancestor, who was born to Israel. But the name of the city was Laish at the first. And the people of Dan set up a carved image for themselves. And Jonathan, the son of Gershom, son of Moses, and his sons were priests to the tribe of the Danites until the day of the captivity of the land. So they set up Micah's carved image that he made, as long as the house of God was at Shiloh. So this is actually one of the main reasons why Dan is not actually listed. If not, I think this is the reason why. Well, I think it's one of the reasons, because there is even just looking at some of the Danites that we know in this day and age, they have this Canaanite look to them, where they can be of dark skin, but that you find that they share a slight resemblance with the Canaanites, and that's because I believe they intermingled with them. In some cases, they did something like what the Canaanites did. And one of the things you can see here is that they all went into idolatry as well. So this is one of the two things that happen. You'll find in the book of Revelations, where it talks about the numbering, the seal, the 144,000. You find that Ephraim is not mentioned and Dan is not mentioned. Ephraim is not mentioned because they went into idolatry. They started worshiping idols, right? Jeroboam, okay? And then also Dan. Dan is another tribe that is not mentioned, and that's because they went into idolatry as well. But Ephraim is actually Joseph, okay, currently. So, because the stick of Joseph is in Ephraim's hand. All right, so let's go to we're in chapter 19. The context is the Levite and his concubine. It says, "In those days, when there was no king in Israel, a certain Levite was sojourning in the remote parts of the hill country of Ephraim, who took to himself a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah." Okay, so also just to bear in mind, because I want to actually just keep adding to this, right? Bethlehem, it says that the Beth is in Judah. Okay, Bethlehem, I just read it. Bethlehem is in Judah, and we read that the cities that Judah has in his land, right? It also talks that Judah bordered Edom. Now, and Mount Seir is this is Mount Seir. These are the mountains of Seir here, right? So that means that it's Judah here. This is the border of Judah, right? And it comes up to about here, right? This city is listed in Book of Joshua about one of the cities that Judah was what do you call it? Was in control of. Dimona is one of the cities that is control of. Beersheba is actually I think that's actually in Simeon, right? But you'll find that this is the area where Judah has actually got control. It's one of the cities that is named that he's got control over. Okay, now if that's the case, then Bethlehem. If look, you see, because it just said that who took himself a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. So This is not the Bethlehem, the Jude of Judah, because look how far it is. This is the city. This you're saying that Judah has all of this area here. Is that what people are saying? That's impossible. This is because this is one of the cities he's got. You can't have got all the way right up until here. That's impossible. You see what I'm saying? Because then there wouldn't be enough land for the rest of the tribes. So there's a Jerusalem down here that people are not understanding, and that not Jerusalem. There's a Bethlehem. You find that Bethlehem is somewhere over here because that she says that, from what I believe, for what I know, sorry, that Jerusalem, which is this, the Jebusite Jerusalem, which is this one here, this area here, this is actually inside Bethlehem. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know what we class as Bethlehem to this day around this area, but there is a region over here which is classed as Bethlehem. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. All right, then it reads. It says, and his concubine was unfaithful to him, and she went away from him to her father's house at Bethlehem in Judah, and was there some 4 months. Then her husband arose and went after her to speak kindly to her and bring her back. He had with him his servant and a couple of donkeys, and she brought him into her father's house. And when the girl's father saw him, he came with joy to meet him. And his father-in-law, the girl's father, made him stay, and he remained with him 3 days. So they ate and drank and spent the night there. And on the 4th day they arose in the morning, and he prepared to go. But the girl's father said to his son-in-law, "Strengthen your heart with a morsel of bread, and after that you may go." So the two of them sat and ate and drank together. And the girl's father said to the man, "Be pleased to spend the night, and let your heart be merry." And when the man arose up to go, his father-in-law pressed him till he spent the night there again. And on the 5th day he arose early in the morning to depart. And the girl's father said, "Strengthen your heart and wait until the day declines." So they ate, both of them. And when the man and his concubine and his servants arose up to depart, his father-in-law, the girl's father, said to him, "Behold, now the day was waned toward the evening. Please spend the night. Behold, the day draws to its close. Lodge here and let your heart be merry. And tomorrow you shall arise early in the morning for your journey and go home." But the man would not spend the night. He rose up and departed and arrived opposite Jebus, that is Jerusalem. Okay, so there is a Jebusite. Again, this is another second witness saying that, look, it says the man would not spend the night. Let's see if we can get this. It said the man would not spend the night. He arose and departed and arrived opposite Jebus, that is Jerusalem. So this is the Jerusalem. This is the Jebusite Jerusalem. Because you'll find when we read in the book of Samuel, this is the city of David. This is Mount Zion where David conquered. Okay, and he had with him a couple of saddled. Yeah, this is actually Jerusalem. This area here. Okay, and it says, and he had with him a couple of saddled donkeys, and his concubine was with him. When they were near Jebus, the day was nearly over. And the servant said to his master, "Come now, let us turn aside to this city of the Jebusites and spend the night in it." Yeah, this is Jerusalem. So this is where they're staying. Okay. And his master said to him, "We will not turn aside into the city of foreigners who do not belong to the people of Israel, but we will pass on to Gibeah." And he said to this young man, "Come and let us draw near to one of these places and spend the night at Gibeah or at Ramah." So they passed on and went their way, and the sun went down on them near Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. So Benjamin is obviously in a close area here. I don't know if it's got anywhere that's spoken of as Gibeah. Okay. Yeah, they've got a lot of these that they haven't really understood what's going on. And he went in and square of the city, for no one took them into the house to spend the night. And behold, an old man was coming from his work in the field at evening. The man was from the hill country of Ephraim. You see, notice that it talks about hill country. This is why we know that this area here is the Ephraim, because this is a mountainous area. These are hills, and it's very much. I don't know if we can show. Um, we can show terrain. Yeah, we can show